basically the way that you founded your company was the intent to really leverage technology, AI, and other innovating technologies that are coming out. What's it been like in the last couple of years leaning into that more and more, and also now to seeing everyone else starting to say, oh yeah, deep fakes are a way that, you know, we're not putting as many man hours into doing head replacements and things like that, or over here, let's lean into this to automate some of our options. Like, what's that been like for you?
I think because when we started the company, we focused on premium TV, and when to really focus on it, we figured, the metrics were essentially speed and quality and help with capacity and volume. So those, given that our company, our North Star, those metrics kind of drove us, it brought us to AI fairly quickly. We've tested all sorts of different technologies, but we wanted something that was going to give you like multiples, like massive multiples. And when we tested virtual production, which is a great tool, it just didn't give us that. It didn't give us that at all. And I'm still looking for the case studies that show that massive amount of gains on capacity for less cost. So, given that was our drive as a company, our North Star, it pushed us into the AI, and we used it obviously on WandaVision. That was the eye opener for us. It's like, look, this is not disruptive for the production side, the live action production. We're not asking anything really from them, anything additional, which is great. So it's not disruptive, but yet it gives us massive gains. It takes artist days off the floor, and it allows us to get through more work quicker with the amount of artists that we have. We never really wanted to grow to, 4,000 or 5,000 just because, by adding numbers, and it's going to be very difficult to do that. We'd be basically not solving the capacity issue that our clients are asking for us to solve. All we're doing is stealing artists from other companies. And at the end of the day, if everybody's doing that, that's not a business plan. That's not a way to solve the capacity issue. So AI allowed us to do that. We've seen it firsthand, that this removes this capacity from the floor essentially and puts that leverage on GPU cards. When we seen it working, it was like, let's double down, let's triple down. And now it's time to kind of take it serious. And so we look at the company as definitely a hybrid visual effects company and a AI company. And the great thing about having a company like that is we can leverage the VFX. So, clients want to make sure that they have the flexibility. They want to make changes. Art can be subjective. We need to have the VFX side to bring them across the finish line in case there's something that the AI just can't do. We're confident with our pipeline that we can just bring it back in, bring it over to the VFX side, and we'll give the clients exactly what they need. So they have that flexibility and that worry is gone. But at the same time, we want to build products. So we're taking this pretty serious as a company. How can we productize this? How can we possibly take these tools, incubate them in MARZ until they get to 100% efficacy, and then we can roll these products out potentially to either give to the industry as a whole or possibly even to the clients, right? So that's kind of where we're at. And I think first is, let's make sure they work internally, because AI is hard, and anybody that you speak to about it, it's very difficult to do. We're seeing some of the gains now and the breakthroughs of technology. I'm happy we began and we decided to make this kind of a main thing for our company initially. We got a little lucky there, and it's paid dividends, but now we're getting ready products are starting to roll. We have a roadmap. We have a couple products in-house. We'll probably launch our first product by the end of the year. And we'll know what that looks like probably in the next 30 days as far as, is this going into the hands of production, or is it going to go into the hands of other VFX companies?
Just kind of rolling back to the beginning, when you're first launching the company and kind of looking at areas you can leverage, was there any specific solutions that kind of stood out of like, hey, let's lean into this area as a possible area, whether it is like, let's say, automatic green screen cleanup and garbage mats, or whether it is face tracking, camera tracking, things like that? Like, what were the things that you were looking for that might have been a good solution to tackle first?
Because we started off on WandaVision with face and basically face tracking, that's kind of where we sort of continued. And I think it makes sense as a company to be really laser focused on this niche and to start innovating and to try and take advantage of that innovation to compound for the next product and the next product and just become really excellent at that. So it did lend itself to the face, where we're doing, we have a product called Vanity, and it's basically age, de-age, beauty work. That's why the name, hence the name Vanity. And we've already, in stealth mode, worked on about 25 projects with Vanity, including the Spider-Man that just came out with Willem Dafoe. We worked on his face. And, the approach that we've seen in the past, that I've seen in the past, is when we take on a 3D approach, there's just something about it that is not always perfect from shot to shot. The consistency is difficult to do, as we know, and it's very expensive when you see something like The Irishman. And that's, they're really expanding as far as how they're de-aging in it. They're going back years. But for me, it was like, how do we get to that place where the audience doesn't know that this aging or de-aging is happening? How do we get it so it's so subtle, but it looks completely real? The brain is convinced. And that's the beauty of AI. It's able to do that. It's just the way it trains itself and continuously trains and learns. It's able to get to a point where suddenly you're looking at something that's like, we're VFX, we scrutinize everything, where now my eye is convinced that this is real. And it was the first time I'm looking at something where it's like, wow, something's not quite right here, because this is not feeling like VFX at all. It's, it's past that scrutiny. It's the first time I felt that way. And I was like, we're onto something. And it's a 2D approach, which is awesome because it's really fast. So it allows us to get that speed. We're removing capacity, and volume is just endless. How many GPUs do you have? And, they can come to us with decisions late in the game. Now they can just get their edit done, refine. They have their shot list. They only have a few weeks left to go. Dump it in our lap. We'll crank through that stuff.
I love that. What was it like kind of going down that route where you were getting to that point where it's like, rather than being distracted, which I think is what most of the audience is always, they can't really pick up on exactly what is wrong, but they feel like something's off. For you, what was it like getting to that point where you feel like, hey, we kind of nailed this thing where it is that subtle, that invisible, that we're creating convincing effects? I
say the other holy grail in VFX for all these years is the face, right? We've been trying to make it look real. It's that subtle articulation. And I think, animators, I've been one myself, we feel like, I got this, but there's so many subtleties that are happening in the face that it's impossible for us to get it, to really, really, really get it. It would take forever for us to get all the, articulate nuances that are happening in a face. And again, since a baby childhood, you're looking at that face and what's real. You've been trained to know what's real. And AI, I think I was just blown away by the first time I've seen it working. Again, like it was just kind of fighting with myself because I want to inherently scrutinize it because that's what we've been trained to do. And I can't. There's nothing to scrutinize. So that's when I knew. I turned to Matt Panousis, our COO, and I just was like, this is it. Like, this is it. And he wasn't sure what I was trying to say, but I'm like, I'm not having to scrutinize anything anymore. This is the first time I can look at something and I'm completely convinced. So now I, as an audience member, can just settle into a movie and watch it and enjoy it and believe it without being taken out by a shot that just looks odd. Like you said, your brain knows, so it's kind of struggling maybe with that last scene and it's not able to continue in that movie or whatever because it's still struggling with what it just seen.
A good example is Wolverine, where Hugh Jackman now for Deadpool 3 is reprising his role. And that's something where I know that he's kind of been against reprising his role for health concerns of just in the more recent movies, there's still a lot of body replacements being done. And in other cases, head replacements for stunt shots as well. Do you think it is getting to that point now where it's like, is pretty effortless to transfer one person's performance onto, let's say, a stunt double or something like that, and just kind of do a lot of films in that approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to continue to get more effortless. Like once we've gotten to the face in our technology, we were asking ourselves, what is the next niche for us as a company? And it just lent itself so nicely to digidoubles and focusing on characters and creatures and just animation, which has always been very difficult to do because the iterative process of that performance. But with technology and advancement of the technology, I think we felt like now is the time to do it, which again, you know, when you look at the name of our company, Monsters, Aliens, Robots, Zombies, you'd think it would be that obvious in the beginning when we started it. So it fit nice and perfectly into that. But I look at the work, you know, I was always a little bit like in fear because of the iterative process, and you just know how costly it is to do it, and it can really harm a company. And we've seen examples of that in the past in the VFX industry, of being focused on character creature work. But I look at the work we're doing, like Moon Knight, for example, and you have a stunt double in there, and he doesn't have full costume, and he's doing all the stunt moves as professionally as he is, and we have to replace that with Moon Knight. I'm looking how just the iterative process, and I'm seeing version 1s come out, and I'm just blown away by how quickly we're moving through these things and how convincing it looks. Actually, I'm surprised, and you know, I'm thinking that's just version 1. Wait until we like really refine this, and especially under the scrutiny of Marvel's eye, like they're going to make sure that this thing is perfect before it gets out the door, and it's very convincing. So yeah, I'm pretty blown away.